Okay. Zoom. So I don't have anything to report on the dashboard things because I've been on call, and also I did a grafanacon presentation this morning, which is kind of cool. So I think video will be available for that before too long. That's not it. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'll put. Okay. Go
yeah, I did. I'm good.
Also, Google could not mess up my name. There's mine. There's mine. So recording should be available, I think, after the event, which is the end of this week. So I'll post it in the channel once it's available, but nothing too surprising to anyone, I think. So yeah, nothing to report here. Probably more there later. Let me see. I don't think Nick posted any updates about removing real-time stuff from mapping. So we'll skip that one. I gave Audrey the Slack. I added Audrey as a collaborator for the Slack app. So hopefully she can take this over and start working on like a better deploy flow. And then Zachary, you've been working on this one, which Audrey helped you deploy, which is all up and looking much nicer. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. Are you pretty clear about like next steps here, or do you still need?
Not really.
Okay. Because I know one thing, like I showed you a screenshot of the charging thing, but I know Ray was interested in getting like charging as like an overlay rather than a separate graph. I don't know if iCharts can do that, but yeah, so you see here, like we do charging. It's a little, when you're zoomed out this far, it's a little tough to see. But when you're zoomed in more, you can see where the charging is happening, which can help to know whether or not a device is actually getting adequate sun or not. So I think it'd be good to get those two graphs overlaid. And especially this one seems to just be one all the time, but I don't know, maybe that's just because of the, it might just be, okay. It's like a point every 12 hours.
It doesn't
by
really
default,
show
so.
when it's charged, but.
Yeah. Which actually brings me to the other thing is that another one of his asks was some sort of like time selection functionality. So I think right now it's just what, like last 90 days, last 30 days, looks like last 60. Yeah. It'd be nice if we had some sort of something along these lines that let you pick, like last 2 days or whatever, and then scope to that, or like last 7. I don't think we need to go as far as like drag and drop, because we have like this where at least you can like zoom in on the points without doing a re-retrieval. But I think if we just had like a drop down that was like, last 30 days, last 7 days, last 2 days or something like that, I think that would probably do the trick.
Okay. So you mentioned the battery charge. Is it basically the overlay between battery voltage and charging?
Yeah, that's the way we do it on these pages. So let me just zoom back out here. So
I was a little bit unsure about what that means, and so I added bat charge to one of the panels, and I'm not sure if we need that.
Not as its own panel, yeah, and especially not at this zoom, because it's always just going to show one if there was any charging in the 12-hour period, which like most 12-hour periods are going to have at least some charge. Yeah, so what we do here is we show an average of the bat charging field, and then I forget what I ended up doing. I did what was it? It was like a field override thing that I put in. Right. So what I did is a series override to put it on like the second y-axis. But the second y-axis is set up to be, and this is all Grafana stuff, so you don't have to worry too much. I'm just trying to like, explain the details of what I did to get this graph in Grafana. So I gave it a second y-axis that's 0 to 1, like fixed minimax, and then hidden. And then so the effect is that you get these, you get this like, highlighted region, which actually what it's doing
I
there is
see.
it's plotting like a 1. You can kind of even catch it. You see like the little circle above my crosshairs there.
Yeah.
So like it's plotting a 1, but it's plotting a 1 on a hidden y-axis that's always going to be 0, 1. And so you end up getting this like shaded region effect. So it's a total hack, but it at least helps us identify when the solar panel is able to catch some voltage, which, as I sort of mentioned earlier, is important for knowing whether or not the device is in a reasonable charge location. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so it'd be good to get something close to that if we can here. If not, the other possibility is we could just say like, you know what, this is actually just going to be difficult to do on API, and we can just say that like if you need to examine battery data, just click that link. We can always keep Grafana around, but the downside is like Grafana will never do certain things for us, like be able to resolve a URN, or a device ID, or handle attachments, or comments,
Yeah.
or be able to switch between like Celsius and Fahrenheit. Like Grafana's, it's unlikely that Grafana will be able to do that like in the next decade. So in the meantime, we want to build some of that functionality into here. But we don't have to take it too far. Like if it looks like it's going to be a real hard thing to do, then let's just drop the battery graphs from here and just maybe make this a little more clear, that make it a view more data in Grafana or something like that can maybe be what the link says, to make it obvious that like that's where you go for extra stuff. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
If you look at device story 79.
Yep.
So
this one has almost nothing from the looks of things.
it's in the.
No,
I'm looking at the dev one.
Oh, dev 79. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that number is based on just like the database record ID. So
yeah. So
cool.
I added the battery charge, but I assume that is what you meant by show battery charge, but I'm not really sure if that's the right thing.
Like what I'd like to show, and I think what Ray would like to show, is that sort of overlay. But this one's actually really weird. Like it might be worth raising this with
Sure,
like
what
Ray,
unit that is.
Yeah, because like what are you plotting there? Because it's not charging, because charging would show, right, this is the last 90 days. Like we would show overlays if it was actually charging. What oh whoops, I lost it. Chat was it? Ugh. More than this one. Should have done open a new tab. That was silly of me. There we go. Because I wouldn't expect bat charge to be like 130.
Yeah.
Unless, hold on a second, oh, because you're plotting bat charge versus bat charging. I don't know what bat charge even is. Let's see if we can find out. Nah, we don't have it in the list. We'd have to ask Ray what that means, like what the difference between bat charge and bat charging is. So
okay.
Yeah, this one is charging, which is basically supposed to be a 1 or 0 on whether or not it's being able to like pull current from the solar panel.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know what charge is.
Yeah, I guess I'll just keep that for now and remove that if we need.
I wonder if it might even be, like Ray would know for sure, but it might even be the device is trying to give you some sort of like a percentage of how full the battery is based on the voltage. That's possible. So give me 1 second, I got a phone call. Sorry about that. Cool. So yeah, you could probably just ask an API what bat charge even is,
Okay.
and either Rob or Ray might be able to tell you because I sure don't know. Yeah, because we have bat charge and bat charging, but I don't see anything that says what bat charge means. I'm just like searching Slack right now to see what I can find. Yeah. No, I'm not finding anything. So yeah, we'll have to ask Ray or Rob to find out what that field even is. So yeah, what I would do is drop this graph, and then in the battery voltage graph, if there is a way to overlay the charging field as like a highlighted section so that we know the battery is catching charge from the solar panel, I think that's the thing that we're looking for here.
I see. Okay.
Cool. And then the other thing that I don't think we've tried to address yet is like, right, this is just like full width, yeah. Similar to what we did on Celsius to Fahrenheit, I know we'd like to have CPM be microsieverts per hour or REMs. And I could probably dig up some old notes from Joe about how to do that. But basically, like the thing that we talked about is it'd be great if this allowed you to even pick like a different scale factor. So to go from like CPM to microsieverts per hour, you divide by 334, I think. But that's assuming the dominant isotope is cesium. So it'd be awesome if we could have the graph a little bit more interactive to say like, you know, which isotope you're dealing with.
So that's like switching between Celsius and Fahrenheit.
It's similar to that. Like the simple thing here, let me get back to like a Celsius and Fahrenheit, right? The simple thing that you could do to get us pointed in that direction, it's like need like a radiation device of some kind. Yeah. Yeah, so similar to what we do here, where this is just like a simple scale factor. If we convert this to microsieverts per hour, which would be divided by 334, we could do a similar switch that switches between microsieverts and REMs, which is a really simple calculation. The next level of that would be to actually allow the user to pick their own conversion factor based on where they are. And like I said, I could dig up old recordings of Joe teaching us all about this, but because basically the thing that he said is like what would be perfect is if we could actually instead of dividing by 334, divide by a number based on the geographic location, because basically where you are in the world kind of defines what your likely dominant isotope is, which is going to define your conversion factor from CPM to microsieverts per hour.
So like automatically switching.
It'd be amazing if we could do that, yeah, or at very least allow some like selection so that people could see microsieverts per hour and at least know what conversion factor they're seeing.
Yeah.
Yep. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, but then there was the REMs to, once you convert to microsieverts to REM is always going to just be a fixed scale factor. Like at least that one's easy. There's the question of how do we get from CPM to microsieverts, which for now we can just divide by 334 for most of safe gas data. It's not ideal, but it would work. What would be amazing is if we had some way to actually make it based on the location. Cool. So there's all that. Any questions?
No, not really.
Cool. Sounds good. And if that all feels like way too much, I mean, there's other possibilities. You know, I would talk to Rob. I know Rob has a bunch of things that he would like to see like added to this list, for example.
I think I know how to do the code part on divided by 334, like Celsius, like the temperature one, but I'm not really understanding the radiation thing behind it. So I might need to do some reading on that.
Sure. And Joe is a good resource on all this stuff too. So you can just reach out to Joe on Slack and he can give you.
Okay.
So cool. Batran, anything to report on the noon map issue that I assigned you to, or questions? Did you?
Not much actually for this part.
I think I sent you some info on this, but it looks like I didn't put it in the issue description, or maybe I put it as a comment. Yeah, it says 5 comments to me. Yeah, okay, cool. So these are the things that like Pieter laid out that he would like to see. And since you've been digging into maps, it seemed like maybe you would be a good person to take a look at this. So.
Got it. Yeah. All right. I'll check that. And also the geocoding part.
Yeah.
That's also an issue. So I'm looking at that, and
yeah,
I'll report once I have something.
Cool. Sounds good. I'll assign this to you then. Was it this one? We had geocoding that needed to happen kind of like in 2 directions, but this is the one that I think has an open issue for. Is this the thing that you had in mind? Basically, like
I think we mentioned something Tokyo? Like reverse geocoding. Yeah. So like giving a point, we want to say where is this point is, like neighborhood or country and so on.
Yep.
So that one I tried like ArcGIS API and it seems to work. So
sweet.
Yeah, yet I'm now accessing the database Safecast to download some of the sensors location and try to reverse geocode it.
Sounds good. I'll mark these as in progress and assign to you, and you can let us know when you have something.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Awesome. I think that's everything. Any questions?
So for Safecast confusing? Now, for the not Safecast, like for the visualization platform, we are connecting to Unfolded. So now that are we gonna have a lawyer looking at it seems to be fine. It looks.
Yeah, it seemed fine to me too. I forget, like I saw Pieter said that we could have someone take a look, but I don't know. I didn't recognize the name. Where was it? UG. I don't think I've ever talked. It doesn't look like UG's on Slack. So I would ask Pieter that question, like if he definitely wants to run it past UG or what. But yeah, I think that's a question for Pieter at this point. It looked okay to me. I'm happy signing. I just didn't want to go ahead and sign it without Pieter also agreeing that it looked okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so, got it. Sure, sounds good.
Yep. Cool. I mean, I think it'll be fine. Like I read it over and it, for the most part, it looks like just a liability plus a whatever feedback we give them, they have a license to use. I don't even think it's like ownership. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's basically just like I forget what the usual legal phrase is, but it's, just like an infinite time span license on like whatever feedback we give them, that they're allowed to go do something with that, and we can't try to claim copyright on it. So
right,
really what it looked like to me.
So this means it's gonna be a free of charge.
Sounds that way. We'll see. I haven't seen that explicitly stated, but yeah, I mean, that's the way it's looking here. So
yeah, I think I agree. Yeah, it does. They explicitly haven't said it's free of charge, but this license agreement mentioned that everything we say to them, they're gonna use it for the product. So it's kind of a for NGO kind of arrangement and so on.
Yeah. So looks promising. We'll see.
Awesome. Sounds good.
I don't think if it like guarantees it'll be free, but they haven't stated a price yet, so it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, but they already sent the contract, and without really asking us to pay anything.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, cool. So once we have that, I'll try connecting it to the PostGIS database to see if we can fetch some data and visualize it lively on the platform. One issue I may face is that I think I have to log in using the SSH key first to the server so that I can access the PostGIS database. Yep. So does this mean I need to consult with Unfolded team on how to set up the SSH key part?
Yeah, or if like we could change the security group rules or whatever. Like, I think it depends on what they are able to integrate with. The database, I think, is not publicly routable right now. I'd have to log into the console to be sure. And so it's not like we could just like open it up because it only has an internal IP address. So we can maybe like set up a tunnel or something, like, I'm willing to be flexible, just need to sort of see what Unfolded expects. Obviously, if they're able to support an SSH tunnel, that would be great. That simplifies things a lot. If there's some other way that they would like to connect, we can work that out. Giving it a public IP, I don't think is an option on AWS, since it's already like we would have to like reprovision it, I think, if we needed to give it a public IP. So if they need just like a public IP, then probably the simplest thing would be to do to set up an SSH tunnel on the dev box that has like a publicly open port that they can hit or something along those lines. So
got it.
So yeah, there's lots of options there, but see what they support. If they can go via tunnel, awesome. That simplifies things. If not, we'll do something else.
Awesome, sounds good. Yeah, I think I'll wait for them and then we can follow up.
Yep. Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I'm sure I at least in my experience, keeping RDS off of the public internet is pretty common. So they must have some sort of plan for connecting to Postgres that isn't publicly routable.
Should be. So we should ask them. Once we sign, we can go ahead and ask them the
yeah, and start playing around with it more. We could also do like some sort of an export thing too. Like if it looks like trying to connect them direct to our Postgres is going to be too much trouble. If we could figure out what sort of like CSVs we need to kick out, we could do, like an hourly CSV export or something like that. So long as we can import it to their platform automatically. We could set up like just to give you an idea, like we have all those like cron jobs in here. Like we could just as easily set up a new cron job that just like spits out the last hour's worth of data and uploads it to the Unfolded API or something like that. Like that's a possibility too if the direct connect doesn't make sense.
Got it. Sounds cool.
Yep, lots of options. Just got to figure out what's easy. It doesn't take too much time on anyone's part.
Exactly. This is interesting. I think if we connect it properly, then we can embed all the visualization into Safecast under a end domain or anything. Cool. And change would be no programming needed at all. Like just log in, do some changes, and then it will reflect directly on the website.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Awesome.
Yeah, well, let's see. Cool.
All right. Well, I got to get on to my next meeting. Thanks for joining. Been nice talking to you both. And I'll see you in the channel.
Sure, sounds good. See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.